welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us for today's DAO meeting. Pretty familiar setup as usual. We'll have the chat open for questions and comments as we go along. Don't hesitate to drop anything in, and we'll be working through the deck as usual. And the extra item we'll have is I've got a slide that's just mentions Q&A for Beanstalk 3 items. Like I said last week, attendance was a little bit spotty, and so it made sense to just kind of combine the Q&A into the DAO meeting today. So we'll get rolling. Okay, big items up front. So upcoming and ongoing items. So Beanstalk 3 draft is still up for community review. We've got the fork migration system still under development. And then as of yesterday, BFCP C5, so BFC member term extension, which is my extension, is currently up for vote on the governance page. All right, into projects and initiatives. So after our last meeting, we chatted a little bit about to give Beanstalk 3 its due, talking about or splitting up the different items into their individual components to just give the opportunity to talk a little bit more or focus on the significant amount of work that's been done inside of this Beanstalk 3 audit package. So took the items that were inside of that, so generalized convert, tractor, secure Beanstalk, generalized flood, and I should add shipments too. I'll add that for next time around. And included those in active development right along with fork migration. And then the other items or the other categories up above, so liquid stock and seeds, external yield distribution, and blacklist mitigation are still in the funnel. And then, a handful of items kind of just floating around with the potential of getting more focus at some point in the future. Any questions or comments before we jump? All right, hearing none. Okay, so Beanstalk 3. Not a lot of new information here into the phase of having everything out in Discord for discussion, getting close to being ready to go into vote. Guy, Breen, anyone from the dev team didn't know if there's anything that y'all wanted to add or mention?
I feel like Breen may be able to give an overview of the development that's been happening over the last couple of weeks to get this ready.
Yeah, so the past couple of weeks, we've been mainly testing the migration process and making sure everything works as intended. Not only does the contracts, which have been audited, have to be verified, but additionally the migration state also has to be, verified as well. So, all the various devs here have been, hard at work, working very hard to make sure that we can be very sure that everything works as intended. Yeah, not much more to add there.
And Breen, you're specifically referring to the Arbitrum migration?
Yes, the Arbitrum migration.
Mm-hmm. And to your point, I mean, that should definitely get its own bit of press too. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for the update. So is getting this Arbitrum migration process ironed out and ready to go, is that really that kind of last remaining component prior to going to vote, or are there other items that the devs are still looking at or looking to work out?
Well, one of the goals is to get to a state where all the contributors can be testing the UI changes against some sort of test net, clicking every button, making sure everything works as expected, and have that be the case for a couple days at least, call it. And Space Bean in particular has been grinding on the UI, the Beanstalk 3 UI, things like gen convert, lambda to lambda converts has been on Beanstalk for a while, but that's one thing that's been added as part of the design for these Beanstalk 3 UI changes, and is planned to be included as well among the handful of other things on this list, like tractor, for example. So once that all gets to a place where we feel good about it, the proposal can go up. And maybe just on the tractor bit, since I don't know that it's been talked about too much, what's included in this Beanstalk 3 upgrade is, tractor at the contract level, Unfortunately, once that gets added to Beanstalk, it's already developed, audited, reviewed, et cetera, it'll be much easier to spin up markets, tractor markets. But at the start, the intention is to only support sort of an MVP tractor market where people can automate, for now at least, just mowing and planting.
Thanks, Guy. I appreciate that. So, like I said, I've got some just a space in a slide later on for specific Beanstalk 3 Q&A, but now is probably as good a time as any to kind of open up the floor, to anyone else about any specific questions or anything they wanted to cover regarding Beanstalk 3. We'll give another minute or two when we get down to the later slides to see if anybody has any new questions that come up. All right, jumping down, fork migration system. So looks like we're in final testing and internal review prior to audit. That audit is coming up here early next month. Any specific items that any of the contributors want to cover for fork migration?
The only thing I would add is I think this timeline's pretty tentative because just about everyone's focused on getting Beanstalk 3 over the finish line at the moment.
Fair enough. All right, opening the floor up just a little bit more. So anything to add from a subgraph UI, other update standpoints, soil, don't call him Silo King. Anything you want to run through or?
Yeah, so I guess with the subgraph and the bots, kind of like we're saying, just getting everything ready for Beanstalk 3. The current thing that I'm focusing on this week is one of the components of Beanstalk 3 is actually an upgrade to Basin because we're adding a stable swap well function for a couple of the new pools that we'll be whitelisting. And so there's just some work that needs to be done to support those for things like our CoinGecko integration and like on the subgraphs. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now. But I mean, otherwise, like kind of the core stuff for Beanstalk on the subgraph and on the bots is more or less complete. We're just kind of in that final phase of testing.
Nothing really crazy to add for the UI side. I think, Breen covered most of it. We're just trying to get everything ready for Beanstalk 3.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Okay. To open the floor up again, just wanted to give another minute or two in case anybody had any specific questions regarding the Beanstalk 3 package. I know Nasdaq's in the crowd. Always good with, a couple questions. Don't want to put you on the spot too much, but if you or anybody else has any questions, thoughts to add around the Beanstalk 3 package or any of the items inside of it, now's a great time to ask. Fair enough, Nasdaq. So Nasdaq says keep pushing code and no questions other than WinPeg, but no need to ask that. So always appreciate the support. All right. Any other questions? The evergreen question, indeed. Any other questions, comments? Obviously, pretty short meeting, but want to make sure that if anybody has any thoughts that they can get covered. All right, hearing none. So I guess I will ask in a somewhat selfish or personal manner. If anybody gets a chance to go over to the governance page, feel free to cast a vote to keep me on the BFC. And if anything comes up, certainly let me know. And appreciate everybody's time today. Thanks.
Well, yeah, just want to add real quick before we wrap.
Sure.
That one actually is quite important. As Rex mentioned, his term ends at the end of the month, and the rules dictate that 3 BFC members are required to, vote on any spending. And he is the third, so we'll kind of hit a standstill to some extent otherwise. So to the extent people, share feedback on that proposal, discuss it, etc., I think that would be great and spread the word.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Guy. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Rex.
Thanks, Rex.
Thank you, Rex.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.